Back in the garage, RallyWerks Garage, whatever we call it. Yeah. Ooh, need new stickers. Okay. We've reached the point that I enjoy on a bike, and that is making it more mine, making all of the fine-tune adjustments, getting everything kind of squared away. Anyway, so this video, if you guys saw the title, we're going to be talking about the Tusk shifter for the Kove 450 Rally. And this was one of the things, like, I've been deciding on what to try next. I went with the Tusk shifter because it was one of the ones that were available. The stock shifter that was on here was kind of looking kind of ratty. It just, yeah, you know, shiny object syndrome. So I bought the Tusk shifter online. Link will be in the description. And I got the one that was 1 inch longer. I did that because I wear a size 46 boot, roughly 11 and a half, 12 to the boot. That would be about the ball of my foot right there. And then if I went to go shift, you slide forward and then, you know, get your gear in, go underneath, you know, get that going. So not bad, right? You slide there. I got, you know, right up to the heel of the boot, which I think, you know, is correct. But one of the things that I was curious to try and find out is by going with a 1 inch longer shifter, that's more of a lever. That means that the distance that this shifter travels over here is higher than if it was a 1 inch shifter. So that's where I'm thinking, like, well, when I go to shift, it feels like I gotta, like, basically step up the peg. It's no longer an ankle movement, but rather a whole leg movement. So I don't know if this is going to work, but I figured I would spend the money in trying to make the bike mine. I've got air pressures, got clickers, got all sorts of stuff that's going to be going on, but something like this. The brake pedal is dialed, reverse bled. I mean, it's perfect. But this side of it, I'm not 100% happy with it. Okay, so let's put the new lever on. Pretty much the only difference you'll see right now is that 1 inch length. So I already undid the bolt. It is the way the bolt works is it goes through, but it also indexes onto the shift shaft here to make sure that even if it loosens up, the shifter doesn't slide out. So then also, these are a pretty tight fit, so you may have to put a screwdriver in here, and it doesn't take a lot of pressure to get it to release. Or maybe it does. We'll find out right now. Let's see here. Yeah, so they're gonna be a tight fit. There it is. Just kind of wiggle back and forth and it'll come right off. So this is the 1 inch shifter. Let's get the brand new stock length shifter. I guess I was and these, if you guys need to know, are the same as the TW200. So you can tell the shifter design is a little bit less. It actually, you know, comparing the two, yeah, you can see the length difference, but you can also see the strength difference on it. So, downgrade? I don't know. I don't think so. I did something also on there. I'm not going to reapply it, but basically I put some anti-seize on there as well. Just I wanted to make sure that the bolt could slide in and out properly. Let's see if the bolts are the same length. Yeah, it's only a couple millimeters longer. But what I wanted to make sure is that this ultimately didn't end up seizing. Now, the first thing I did wrong was I didn't mark where my shifter came off. So I'm just going to go kind of with parallel. I could probably do one tooth higher and then try for fitment. We'll see how that lines up there. Yeah, so the problem with that is you got to come, when you go to step on it, actually it won't be too bad. And then to get under it, it's easier. So I think we'll go with that. I mean, it's going to take a few minutes to try. So basically what I'm doing, pushing my thumb on here and then just wiggling it back and forth. And it's going little by, like I can see it going little by little. Again, it does take a little bit of force. I wouldn't want it to just flop on there either. I think that's a bad thing. You know, we want to make sure that it's got good bite on the teeth that everything is as it should be. So we're gonna test if the screw will go. Yeah, see, the screw won't go through, so I know that this thing still needs just a little bit more. So I'll get that in there. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background, the 3D printer going nuts. So I'm gonna put the screwdriver in there and risk and sacrifice the shiny paint on this, just to try and get it that little bit more. There it is. Yeesh. All right. But like I said, it's not bad if you're doing it, because it's gonna be tight on there. That's not a bad thing. So bolt wants to grab, it needs just a little bit more convincing. All right, and this is the part where we hope that the bolt ended up somewhere that can be reached. It can be just from the other side. Ended up way over there. Well, I mean, technically I could put, so if you're a mechanic or been working on bikes a while, you know when something falls, it requires dead silence, and you're hoping that you hear the click because it fell all the way to the ground. That's usually what you're hoping for. So also, whoever invented these box end wrenches that ratchet like this deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. I can only imagine how many people have cursed at engineers that design stuff in a way that you can't get to it easily with a tool, and you end up having to do that. So that's about, I'm gonna say that's about 8.85 Newton meters. Okay, cool. Check your torque specs. Again, I'm just kind of mocking this up. I will probably come back and maybe put a drop of blue Loctite on it. I'm not sure. You know, I just want to make sure that the bolt doesn't fall out. Looks like I didn't use that on this one, so we'll give it a shot. But basically, there's the Tusk shifter. Now we're going to be losing some of that distance that we had before. So if we put this more or less where it goes and pivot it, this is a further distance out here. If you measured it from the skid plate up, how far it has to move to engage a shift, versus this one, this is going to be a little bit shorter. So I might struggle a little bit at first, but it's something you just kind of get used to. And one of the, oh no, I'm going to turn into the Tin Man. There's that anti-seize I was talking about. Ooh, and then white boots, not good. So one of the other things too is, like, on these boots don't have it. These are the CD crosshairs, like the Crossfire TAs and stuff like that. Some of those boots have that sole on it that have a little bit of a lip. And actually what I did on my 501 was, because it was actually easier for me, and apparently this is a thing, is I actually cut the shifter. I cut two parts off of it, so there was only two pieces. Here, I can show you on this one. So I cut that part of it off, and then ended up with a little bit of a nub, cleaned it up really nice, you know, edges, everything like that. And now what I could do is I could actually, with the side of the boot, I just had to move the boot over, and the lip would catch the shifter going up. So really easy to shift. Now, longer gearing on the rally bikes, I don't think it's as critical where you're going to be shifting all the time and doing all of that stuff. You're usually kind of just cruising at a really good pace. So I don't think that's going to be an issue, but I'm curious to give this a try. That's the Tusk shifter that fits the Kove. They've since updated their fitment guide, and it now shows that it fits on there. They have the two versions. They have a standard length, and then they have a 1 inch longer length. The 1 inch longer length obviously looks a little bit more reinforced, so not sure which way you may want to go, but again, you kind of saw the mock-up, having a 46 boot or 11 and a half. Obviously, it makes it a little easier if it's a longer shifter. I don't know, personal preference. We're going to give this a shot. Review, final thoughts will be over on the Instagram, or if not, check on the YouTube shorts as well. I'm not going to do a full video on the thoughts on it because, yeah, that would be a long-winded video. But that's how you install the shifter. It's super simple. Tusk, link is going to be in the description for you guys to pick one up. I will link both of them, which is the 1 inch longer and then the standard length one for you. I haven't found it in another color yet. I know there's other companies out there, but this is probably one of the more cost-effective ones as far as pricing goes for these parts. So anyway, with that being said, time to set some tire pressures, time to get some clickers going, and I'm going to put some miles on this thing. Anyway, see ya.